Does the life you want still make financial sense?
Australians are doing it tough.
We think we remain on the narrow path.
What I mean is, can you pay for the life that you want? Because it's likely the price of everything has gone up faster than your wages. You literally can't do anything without having your head shoved in it. Someone's talking about how much a bag of stuff costs at the supermarket, or complaining about electricity or gas or petrol prices, a meal at the restaurant, a pint of beer, a Macca's meal. It's never ending. This situation makes it harder to get what we really want and need out of life. How do we get a place to call home and raise a family? How to feel comfortable that we'll have a retirement without worrying about money the whole time? How do we get to a point in our working life where we aren't a slave to the mortgage? The overarching question is, how do we make it financially? I've worked in the finance industry since 2006, and I can tell you this question has never been easy to answer. The thing is, the world we live in now in 2025 is so much more complex than 2006, and the effects are different based on your generation. Back then, a standard work week in a standard job would be enough. That didn't mean you were rich, it just got you the simple life that you wanted. If you're over 50, you're probably more focused on retirement, but how much is enough assets for you to have a safe retirement? Younger generations complain about older generations buying up all the properties, for example. But in a world of more inflation for longer, it's very hard to know how much assets you need to retire comfortably. But now, young families who maybe bought their first home are thinking, is this too much debt? The rates have gone up so much since we bought our property. Are we going to be financially strapped working for this mortgage until we retire? After all, the average first home buyer is now 36 years old, and the default home loan contract is for 30 years, putting you at around retirement age when the debt is finally repaid. And right now, younger people, especially under 30, are increasingly left thinking that this game is rigged. The inflation has hit them the worst, and the rent increases combined with the cost of living increases has meant it's really hard to save for a deposit. And even if you can buy a home, then there's going to be no discretionary spending. The truth is, most Australians have been dealt a harder hand in recent times. Let's be honest here, because times have changed, and what made sense financially before does not necessarily make financial sense in 2025. Reality has shifted and times have changed. This means our expectations need to change. Does the life you want still make financial sense? The reason I'm making this video is because over the last 19 years of working in the finance industry, I've become good at asking people what they want when it comes to their finances. Most people are not good at answering this question. It makes it very difficult to make a plan for an answer to a question that you cannot answer very well. By the way, I've had these discussions with my audience before, so feel free to reach out. Having said that, I'm not a financial planner, I'm a mortgage broker, so if you're specifically wanting professional help, which I'm an advocate for, you can let me know in the comments or the DMs, and I'll put you in touch with the right people. Here's an observation that might sound a bit strange. The younger you start planning, the more likely you are to achieve what you want. This is because you have more time. Unfortunately, a lot of people think they cannot get the life that they want, and therefore don't even start. They only get much more serious on this later on in life. I'm going to show you something because a lot of people just think it's impossible right now. If you're a bit older, I'm going to come back to you in a bit. I'm just going to set some basic, easy to understand parameters here. Let's say you want to have a family home and to be able to have enough for retirement. I'm just going to go over the average first home buyer that I see. Generally, they're a couple, may not have any kids yet, may have 1 or 2 kids. So they've got a dual income. I understand if you're on a single income, this may not be possible. I really feel sorry for you because I started off buying my first home on a single income. But if that was me today, probably wouldn't be able to happen if I'm realistic. But anyway, let's get into it. Home loan amount, 600 grand. Let's be honest, there's not too much you can do less unless you're in a regional area. Interest rate 6.29. It may be a little bit lower, but let's just stick with 6.29 right now. That's about right. 30 years. Let's say you're 36 years old, which is the average first home buyer age anyway, and that's probably about the same for my clients. You're paying the loan fortnightly. Maybe we could just do weekly, just for ease of use here. If you just pay the bank what they want for 30 years, it's going to take 30 years to pay off the loan. The idea is that you can pay extra, and a lot of people don't really understand that. If you're getting a home for 600, the bank don't give you 600 grand because they think that's the maximum you can afford. They build some safety into it. What that means is that the borrower has some discretionary spending to pay extra onto the home loan. So let's say if we're a couple, we're paying $75 each extra into the loan. Now, if we're both working, we know $75 isn't that much. Like some meals, if you eat out, are $75. Coffee on its own is over $5. So $75 a week isn't much each if you're borrowing 600 grand. So if we just do that, we can see here that pretty much shaved 10 years off your home loan. So if you're 36 years old, you're now 56 years old by the time you finished off your home loan. Now, if you're saving, if you plan to retire at kind of 70, for example, which is going to be the average retirement age in the future, let's face it, that means you're going to have about 14 years maximum left till retirement. Well, $1,000 per week, let's say it's 50 grand a year, times 14 years is $700,000 in today's money. Added to what your super's already going to be, that moves the needle a long way. And I don't think a lot of people, that might sound like a very simplistic calculation. If it's simplistic to you, you've probably done the work on this. But I can tell you the majority of my clients don't actually understand where they stand. They don't know if they're in a good position or a bad position. I show a lot of people some basic modeling like this and they say, okay, well, it's not as bad as what we thought. Sure, if you want more advanced modeling, I'm not the person to help you do all that sort of stuff. That's financial planner, but some basic mortgage modeling I can do. Despite these crazy times we live in, it is still possible to get what you want out of life. If you need help getting rid of your mortgage faster, then click the Debt Destroyer link below, which will show you 3 easy strategies that anyone can use to get their mortgage down a lot faster. If you're a bit older, this really depends on how much debt you have. I like to think that you're trying to sail your boat to the ideal retirement location. You're trying to steer this retirement vehicle out of stormy seas to get it to where you need to be. Debt can be like having the anchor not pulled up, still dragging along in the ocean, holding you back from your retirement destination. Obviously, there's a lot of factors here, and this doesn't apply to everyone. You can be the master of debt, or you can be mastered by debt. If you are concerned about your finances, if you're concerned that you're losing a race against time, I'm going to give you some very direct advice here. Talk with a financial planner. This is what they're experts in. There's no bias here. I'm not a financial planner. That's not what I do. The truth is the clock is ticking, and I believe that it's the best way for the average person to get the answers they want. If you have any questions, please ask in the comments, or if it's more confidential in nature, you can find my email or tee up a time with me to have a chat. Cheers.